This conference will now be recorded.
Oh, she's so smooth. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the preseason training call for the game announcers. Rapid React season presented by Boeing, coming at you fast and furious in about a week and a half. Um, uh, this is a little bit of a replay from last night with the MCs. Some things will be the same, some things are different. We'll get more into the game a little bit later. But so it might be redundant for some of you who are also on the MC call. Apologize for that. And the plan is I'll do sort of a big overview and some like marching orders and things that have changed this year, things to look out for, and then we'll sort of open it up for Q&A and discussion and observations that y'all have if you watch the week zero. Um, I'm Blair from First. I work at First headquarters in Manchester uh, for a long time, and sort of my job is putting the show in the show and helping to make you all as polished and professional as you can be. So big thanks for volunteering. I realize it's a commitment. I realize it's been a while. It's been hopefully you're as hungry to see robots as I am and as the rest of the staff is. It's like we're chomping at the bit. Um, it's we're back. Omicron is subsiding, so that's really good news. But we're still, COVID protocols and safety is still a priority. Um, Somebody asked last night who's the arbiter, who makes the final decision about COVID masking in an event, and that would be the program delivery partner, the PDP, used to be called the regional director. Right below them is the event manager, and basically we're going by local guidance, local guidelines, um, encouraging masking. I know that a lot of places in the country don't require it. First is not doesn't have a mandate. We're not requiring it. Um, so some of you will work events where you will have to be masked based on the requirements. Some may not. Some can choose to, even if you're not uh, mandated to. Right now, the championship is a masked event, but that's months from now, and things might change. And as you all know, things change quite frequently. So I'm just gonna, yep, I'm just gonna sort of do high level stuff here. I go on the probably bad assumption that most of you have taken the game announcer training, have game announced before, know the nuts and bolts of the system a little bit. I'm not gonna. This is not a how-to. You can go to the game announcer training presentation and do the how-to of like how to work through the event and do the preparation. And same thing I tell the MCs is being prepared is the most important thing. So getting on site and being overwhelmed or nervous or not prepared is the absolute worst thing because you're just behind the eight ball for days, and it is relentless. I always used to one of my favorite things that Woody ever said to me way back when he used to MC and I was the game announcer at the events. He just would come up to me and just go like, "That's got to be the hardest job here." He says like it's so exhausting to be creative, to be on, to be fresh, to be new, to sound excited, to make things sound exciting. He said, "I just really appreciate what game announcers do." So just that's straight from Woody's mouth 20 years ago. But it is a really hard job, and being prepared for it sort of gets you a little bit of a leg up. So I'm going to sort of go through some high level stuff here, and then you can chime in if you have a question, or just wait till I sort of plow through this stuff and save your questions for the end. Either way is works for me. So the theme this year is transportation. We don't want to hit it too hard. Everything can't be about an airport or airlines, but the terminology from the game will help you and can, as long as you continue to use that, that will set the tone. That's all we need, that flavor. I'll get to the specifics later on. Some of the week zero, we had a game announcer slash MC who was there, and he was using some of the right terms, some of the wrong terms. It was week zero preseason. Can't blame the guy, but I'm going to give you specifics later on what we're looking for. And the terminology is all on the cheat sheet, which is, You can print out a copy ahead of time. You can laminate it. You can just put it on. It's on the GA tool. It's in that device as well. You can pull it up just during matches, whatever you need to do. But the real terms are there. There's no reason you should be sort of searching for what the hell is that thing called. Rookie team starting number this year is 8,700. So that might feel pretty damn high for some of you, because it is pretty damn high. The highest team number this year is 8,898. We have 181 rookie teams. We have 181 events, and we have 28 countries. So it's really easy to get trapped in your own little local bubble and realize, oh, first is this thing I do in New England, and first is this thing I do in Michigan or in Florida, right? But we've got 2 new countries participating this year. One from Lesotho, which is this tiny little country in the middle of surrounded by South Africa, and we've got a Kazakhstan team, as well as China and Chinese Taipei and Australia and Mexico and Japan, and Poland and the Netherlands. So it's just like always try to remember that it's bigger than your little event thing. And we try to make all these events similar so that the teams get the same experience, and also so that basically we're prepping any team who goes to the championship to be ready, to have gone through the process and know how to cue, what the team introduction is like, what the scoring is like, how to get the robots off the field, what the pits, like all of that. That's one of the reasons why we try to make every event is symmetrical, is identical as possible. The biggest thing this year is, before you even get to the event, you need to know what kind of event you're going to be working, because it is not just districts and regionals anymore. We have single day events, we have small events.
25 to I-90 West.
Oh, mute your damn phone. Or wherever. I think it sounds like you're driving. So there's a variety. There's a sort of an a la carte menu of events this year. So you need to know what kind of event you're working, because that will determine how many teams are in alliance selection and in the playoffs. That'll determine how many awards we'll be giving out. So there are a few of these single day events, and right now they are the Chesapeake District, the Ontario District, and the Montreal Regional are all single day events. What that means is a smaller subset of teams comes in, like 16 per day, plays over a course of 3 days. And then the award ceremony is a couple days later online, and the awards are won by those 48 teams, not just the 16 per day. The small events are a little tricky, because those are 24 teams or less, which means you'll have fewer alliances, and all the awards won't be given out. So the specifics of that are all online, and you don't need to know the specifics till you get the event, but just realize what you're getting into before you get the event. If you've worked a district or a regional event before, and you're coming in with the assumption it's always going to be the same, it might not be. So just sort of look ahead. And then the regionals, generally the same, practice day 1, day 2. So those are mostly all the same. There's a couple fewer of them. We've eliminated a few that just sort of had very, very, very low registration. Registration is it's a little under where it was in 2020, but as schools and districts and superintendents and students sort of all get their heads around being back together, having teams travel, staying overnight someplace. So we're about where we were in 2020, a little bit under that. So we've had to eliminate a few events. I think the bigger thing for you, a couple of big things for you, is between the MC and the game announcer, you're the tag team personality of the event. That you're the 2 people that people will hear and see all day long. So keeping it professional, keeping it not bantery, it's not cute, there's no in jokes, just sort of making it, think about watching an NBA game or an NHL game, or an NFL game or an MLS game, and just think about the repartee, the color that happens in those events. And our events are live. You're not watching on TV. We play to the live audience, which means we let the music drive between matches to sort of keep the energy up. And it's a long day. Friday's a really long day. But these events also have arcs. They start sort of slow and everybody figures out what they're doing, and then the play gets better, and then the strategy gets better by the end of Friday. By the end of Friday, people have sort of figured out, teams go out, go back home, scout, or day one, whatever your day is. And then Saturday, it's, there's only a few more qualification matches. So they play hard, and then everybody wants to get into a line selection, and that's very nerve-wracking time. And then we're into the playoffs where, as much as we say it's not about the robots, not about the competition, it's a competition, and people want to win, and that's the competitive spirit that's in everybody, and you have to honor that and recognize that. But it's not a competition where you just want to take down your competitors. That's what the gracious professionalism is all about. But just know that there's an arc of the event. If you come in as a game announcer super hot Friday morning, you got nowhere to go, A, and B, you can't usually keep that up over 120 something matches over the next 2 days. So just realize it's a marathon and not a sprint. It's like big, big, big. Keep that always in the back of your head. Just like last year, we want to make sure you're not on camera much, but we just want to make sure that any logos you have are their first logos, our first sponsors. The transportation theme this year is maybe a shirt you can think about, but just you can't be wearing your Gucci logo at the scoring table. It's not going to fly. A couple of odd things this year is like judging. Some of the events might have remote judging, like no judges at the event, or just a couple who are just judging the robots, and then the awards are 2 days later, virtual, on those single day events. So again, don't assume it's going to be like it was 2 or 3 years ago when the last time you did this. Just there are definitely some changes. Team introductions, just like in the past, the MC will work with the FTA to determine when to start those, and it's got to be before the green light. We're aiming for 7-minute cycles, just like in the past. They'll be a little bit longer in the beginning as we sort of get the flow down and the traffic pattern down, and then they will accelerate and get better. If you can help your MC stay in the game and not wander and be ready to get those introductions started, great. That's always a big help. Sometimes they get pulled away to different things. And I think that the match start this year, what you'll hear is like drivers behind the line, 3, 2, 1, go. Scorekeeper will start it. There's no other fancy start this year. There's no sandstorm. I'm just trying to go through some of the MC stuff that you need to know about. So the audience display screens, hopefully you've looked at them. It was a blog a couple weeks ago or a week and a half ago, or saw them in the week 0 event. They're super helpful, and there is a little PowerPoint slideshow that plays every 10 or 15 matches that helps the audience clue into what they're seeing. But you should get really super familiar with them because they can be really helpful during the event. If you're seated by the score and you see the scorer's computer, that'll help. Screen behind you. Some people have their own program monitors. You can watch it there as well. Just know what those display screens are displaying. So there's a lot of information on there, and they can be like really helpful to you. The one scoring piece this year, which we'll talk about later a little bit, but is after autonomous, it ends at 15 seconds. They're still counting the balls in the hub. So the score that you see at the end of autonomous is probably or might not be the final score. The final score of that will come as teleop is starting because those counters are still counting the balls coming through. So just be careful of like making some absolute concrete statement that at the end of autonomous it's 16-14 because it might actually be 18-16. but you can, if you wait a second or so, those balls will get counted. And I think it's it's a 3 to 5 second window. I think the game designers came up with, like, when those balls get counted. But just try not to make absolutes that at the end, because that score will instantly change before any of the teleop robots have scored anything, and it can be confusing to the audience of, like, why'd that score just go up by 4 points when nobody's really scored anything during teleop. Um, Fouls, of course, just like in the past, red cards, yellow cards. Make sure you are right there by the scorekeeper and by the referee to understand what they are. It's You can ask for clarification. So if the referee just said it's a G34 foul and you don't know what the heck that is, like, just say, and can you explain that to me? Transparency is really important. Teams are scouting and they want to know who got the yellow card for what. So just always, the more information we can give them, the better about fouls. During gameplay, there are some fouls. You don't have to call them unless you are, like, absolutely 100% sure why there was a foul. If it's, like, egregious. But there's these little penalties here and there. You're probably going to be so busy watching scoring and hanging that you won't even notice those. So they'll come up in the audience display, but you don't have to call penalties during the match. Just really, it's yellow cards, red cards, tech fouls, that sort of stuff. If there's a replay for, audience needs to know why we're replaying a match. So between you and the MC, you can do that, but game announcers usually do all of the cards. Let's see. Wild card rules have changed this year because we've gone from 2 championships down to 1. So don't be confused that, hey, the rookie all-stars don't automatically get a wild card spot. No, they do not anymore. So those rules, wild card rules, are in the MC and game announcer resource library. So you can review those there. There's a whole, the algorithm of who gets in and who's the next one and who's the next one and who's the next one. So that's all there. Just look at that so you're not confused, because for those of us who've been doing it a while, I'd be like, what? That doesn't, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. And let's see. So let's talk sort of the game terminology. Just really, really work really hard to call the cargo and not balls. Call the rungs and not bars. And it's low, mid, high, and traversal. It's not a traverse rung, it's a traversal rung. It's a noun. Traverse is a verb. So like, it's low, mid, high, traversal. And another common one is people like, let's see what the judges have to say. Nope, they're not judges, they're referees. And the referees, at the end of the match, have to commit the score. They'll look around, they will deliberate if they need to, but just people use those two terms interchangeably, and it'd be wonderful if we lived in a world where that didn't happen. So they're referees. They wear striped shirts. They are referees. And it's the upper and the lower hub, not the high hub and the low. It's not high and low. It's upper and lower. And put it out there. These are adolescents, young adults. So blue balls is probably not a good thing to say. Rimming is another one that you're on the edge with that one there too, my friends. So I would just be really super careful about how you call the cargo going in and out of the upper hub. Bouncing off the rim, but a blue ball rimming is probably going to get you thrown in jail. And we don't make it easy for game announcers. We have, how many years have we had blue balls? Like, Jesus. Sorry, but it's just like, I won't even tell that story. Let's see. I'll keep going here. On the field, good news and bad news. The good news is the sight lines are really good for gameplay. Bad news is those hangers obstruct your team numbers on the Red Alliance, almost the entire alliance, and the clock at that end of the field. So you're really going to rely on time remaining on the Blue Alliance clock, which you can see easier. But you'll have a hard time seeing the first blue position. It's, again, obscured by the hanger. So we didn't make it totally easy, but you can see through the hub, unless something's really parked on the other side, a little difficult to see. But otherwise, the field is wide open, lots of movement. It's just, and the only thing I can think about where this makes a difference is those matches where the numbers haven't advanced and you can't see the numbers. If sometimes an MC will go like, okay, we think they're ready, and you look at the team number, the MC will say the number, and if you can see it, you would say like, oh, nope, the game's not set up yet. The numbers haven't advanced. You won't be able to see that, and it's on the red side. So we'll see how that goes. But it doesn't happen that often. But when it does, it's gonna happen because you can't see it. The other thing about the gameplay is it was really good during week 0. We'll open it up to talk about week 0 in a bit, but there was action. The cargo is really bouncy, so a lot of them are going to leave the playing field. They get put back in right where they left. So there's a lot of sort of both up and down action, shooting action. Human players were pretty good during the week 0, so we know they're going to get better too. But the biggest thing I noticed was robots don't have to wait for the end game to hang. They can hang anytime they'd like. It's a little dangerous because if you start hanging and there's 4 balls underneath, your hanger, you can get a foul for hoarding, or more than 4. So you just have to be able to watch gameplay and watch to see who's going to hang, and not just wait for the last 30 seconds. So if anybody watched the 0, the 125, the neutrons were often hanging, and in the beginning they were hanging super early because they were working things out. Some of the other robots were as well. But just know that you've got to just always head on a swivel and be watching everything. Don't just get stuck on scoring over for the Blue Alliance if they're starting to hang in the red. The hangs are worth a lot. It looks like the hang bonus is going to happen pretty regularly because you just need a traversal and 1 more. So just this is definitely a head on a swivel game. Helpful if you have a game announcer backup who can just be behind you and spot and just point if something comes up. That's always helpful. But just know you've got to don't assume that you don't have to look for hangs until the end game, the last 30 seconds. When we do the score, if you saw it in week 0, there is a little short animation that comes up right before the score. So end of match, a couple seconds pause while the head ref talks to everybody, makes sure everything's good, and commits the score. And then, shockingly, a Boeing jet animation flies across and is towing a banner with the color and Blue Alliance wins or Red Alliance wins. So that's your intro to the score. And when the score comes up, it's the Blue Alliance takes it with a score of blah 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 blah. And really, you just need to cover the win and ranking points. And if there's an indicator where they move up or down in the rankings, but that'll get old if you announce that for every single team. So it's really Blue Alliance wins and with 3 ranking points, and explain ranking point for cargo, hanging, and they won the match. And then that's it. End the score. Let the music do the work. Let the music drive it. And the next time we hear you is the next team introduction. So the only other thing is we'll sort of talk about the GA tool is your best friend. James is going to have a training next Tuesday. He'll send you information on that. If you haven't signed up for that, if you don't want to know what I'm talking about, there's a link both in the game announcer training presentation, and in some of the emails I've sent you, and then I'll send you some summary notes tomorrow. It's in there as well. So make sure you sign up for the GA tool. It's this fabulous app that you don't need paper printouts anymore. It's all there. The rankings, it's real time. It connects right into our scoring system, our FMS. All you need to do is bring a tablet or a device to access it. Your laptop, phone, and the FTA knows to provide our game announcers and MCs with either the Wi-Fi password or Ethernet into our Scorpion. Okay, so James will be in touch in a couple days here. We figure out how to get you all registered if you want to do the training. Go do a training. Some people have been leery of it, just it's something new. It has been something new. They prefer paper, whatever reason. But really, the more you use it, the more you can't live without it. Like you just have to get into it and do an event, and then realize, wow, this is a life changer. Sort of like the polio vaccine, right, James? Yeah.
I'm not sure about that comparison there, Blair, but
Change the world.
yeah, I think it certainly has made a big difference for those of us who've been doing this for a long time. I'm old enough to remember a ream of paper being destroyed during the course of a match, during the course of a weekend, and that's just a district event. You go to the regional events, it's even bigger, and it was ridiculous. And then at the same time, the data was always weird and stale because teams changed their names, their sponsors were never right, and we spent half the time writing on the sheets of paper, and that's crazy. A bunch of folks had put together their own solutions over the course of several years, and we built this tool to help make it so that folks who would just want to get going and turn it on, hit the go button, and call games, you can do that, which is awesome. So we're really excited. We added in some features this year due to folks making suggestions. Steve, thanks for the 24-hour time one, for instance. We implemented that in a heartbeat. Boom. We just added in team info sheets. So in prior iterations, there had been a download that you could get a Word document, and then if you had Office, you could do a merge against the other spreadsheet download. We decided to get rid of that. So now you can get the spreadsheet if you want it, but if you just download the Word doc, it's all the team information laid out in sheets. You just hit print and hand it out to the teams, and then they can bring it back. So if you still want to burn up some paper, but use it to get details from teams, this is a way for you to do that. So I hope that works for you. I put a link in the chat to sign up if you haven't signed up, or if for some crazy reason you may have at some point, I'm not going to do this ever again, and hit unsubscribe to the GA Tool mailings. You might want to go and sign up again so that we can send you the mailings. We also know that there are some folks who've been left off of the last 3 or 4 mailings. That's a mistake on our part for mailing segmentation. Just know that tomorrow there'll be a message that you'll all get that will recap the changes we built in up to this season, plus the link and the link and dial-in information for the meeting next Tuesday if you want to come. So all that's there.
Cool. Thank you, James. And the GA tool is as it's as deep as you want to run with it. You can scratch the surface and just populate the matches and call the matches, and then if you're comfortable then doing alliance selection with it, you can do alliance selection with it. You can go super deep and look back at team awards that they've won. Like there's a historical part of it as well. So you can like run deep with it, or you can just scratch the surface and it'll make your life a whole lot easier. But you got to be in the game.
Now, Blair, to the alliance selection point, I learned yesterday that there will be events where there will be less than 8 alliances, and that makes 100% sense. So I'm trying to figure out how do we accommodate that in GA Tool, particularly if there's, say, 7 alliances or 6 alliances. So give us some time. We may not have that ready for you by week 1, but we'll do our damnedest to get it done for the middle of the season anyway, so we'll be able to go. So you may end up, if you're in a reduced team size event, you may end up having to work with paper for your alliance selection.
And James, the way that sort of covered this a little bit last night, but the way that
Right.
FMS does it, like they can't skip that quarterfinal one, match one either, even if it's
Right.
getting a bye. So they put in dummy numbers for Alliance 8, and they run a 5-second match and score it. And what we're going to do at events, or what we want the FTAs and the scorekeepers to do, is like do that when everybody's at lunch. Like, don't start the playoffs with the quarterfinal one,
Right.
match one. It's a 7-second match that makes no sense to anybody. So we're going to try to advance through that, and I don't know how that helps you. Probably doesn't, but
Well, no, our initial strategy to do it fast was to just have it automatically inject fake number teams into the, like, if I'm looking at team 8 and it's a 7 or Alliance 8, just the Alliance 8 captain is always 9999, and then
yeah.
when you get around there again, it just puts 9998 in and then goes back to 7. So we'll, I think we can get it sorted out. It just is going to take a little bit of logic.
Couple of years, you may
And
not
again,
be able to do that
the
anymore.
alliance selection tool doesn't mean anything. Honestly, it's a convenience. It doesn't stick. So you're not recording the alliance selection by using the GA tool to run alliance selection. No. That's happening in FMS, right? This is a convenience for you. That's it. So when alliance selection is done, that whole screen disappears and it becomes a tournament bracket. So don't worry about it if you have to go to paper. It's not that hard.
And I always, I love to have somebody doing a paper backup anyways. It's just somebody just listening and writing down numbers. Right. Is just sort of a double check. And the same thing right before alliance selection, just make sure that the rankings in the GA tool align with the rankings in the FMS. Sometimes we've had snafus in the past and people get confused, but the FMS rankings are the official ones, and it might be a refresh, like your device hasn't refreshed after the final match or something, but just make sure that if you are going to use it, that those two are aligned, and there's time to do that. I think that's my high level stuff. Oh, the last thing is like we did in 2019 and 20, whatever the past. You'll get a post-event evaluation email the Monday or Tuesday after the event, and that just like will ask you how did everything go, who did you work with, how did everything go. So just please fill those out and send them back in because they help us. It's all, you'll get a link to a website and you have to fill in the information, but those are always a big help. I think that's
one other thing, Blair, and it has to do with the data that's sitting in GA tool is 2 years old for most teams. So if it is a really, really, really good idea. I'm looking at you folks to get out there and meet the teams and just validate the data. If you're using the GA tool, just get out there and talk to the team. Is this your motto? Is this your robot name? They're going to be, no, we haven't had that in years. So just be ready. You're going to do a lot of typing or tagging or whatever the first couple of times you're out, because it's going to take a little bit to get everybody hooked up and right. I hate to say it, but the paper info sheets might be a speedy way to do that if you can get in the day before and get them out onto the tables. If you don't do that though, and the teams aren't used to it, they may not know what to do with that sheet. So it's easier. I've always found it just to walk around. If you have a partner, I know a lot of events don't have full game announcer complement. Just walk the pits and try and meet everybody if you can.
And sort of along those same lines, we are anticipating a lot of relearning. Like a lot of these students have never been to a first event before. So it's been a few years, and kids have graduated, and kids weren't on the team in the 2 weeks of events we got to run in 2020. So there are a lot of new faces on these teams. So we are anticipating, everything from the pits to inspection to queuing to like the question box. We've got to train a whole new group of students. So we've got a little patience there. I haven't been watching the chat at all. Yes, there was a sound effects when the plane flies across the screen. It's definitely there. It sounds like a Boeing 737 Max. Something like that. I think that's it. Okay, let's open it up for like questions, comments, observations, anxieties. It's not therapy, but we can help.
Where's Pete? He usually has some good things to say about week 0. Is he here tonight?
I don't know. It's a lot of fun.
I'm here.
I don't think he.
I'm here. Can you hear me, James?
I'm making thumbs
Nope.
up signals at you, but you can't see. So yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I'm on a phone, and that was my navigation that was on earlier. But no, I'm not driving, so that's okay. Yeah, week 0 was very interesting. A lot of close games. I think I wrote in the email to you that the end game definitely will shift the results of some matches. So there's great drama and build-up there. And of course, as game announcers, we want to be careful not to speculate, but we, I want to point out just that in the hangar and on the bars, there's a potential for a switch here. And if it turns out that one team was really great at shooting and that but the other team was better at hanging, then we'll see that happen. And I think hanging is very desirable because I think it's relatively easy to get that ranking point for the hangs. And teams that are going to want to be doing well in the rankings are going to be going for it. But overall, I love the action of the game. I think it's relatively easy to call. I think the audience display is really good. I think this is one of the easier games to keep up with and for communicating to the people watching online the flow of the game and how it's tipping in one alliance's favor or another.
And I think what we'll see, which is the fun. Our next call is post week 1, so we see like the game really play out, not just in a scrimmage with teams that are barely able to function. Is the amount of defense is going to be played. So there wasn't a lot in the beginning of week 0, and then toward the playoffs, like teams were assigned to play defense and not allow others to shoot. So we'll see how that plays out too. The strategy is sort of the fun part.
Yep.
Anybody else?
I have a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's like a two-part question where are there any recommendations? I guess I obviously know there's like trainings and stuff online that we can do, just to help get ready and prepare. But any kind of like ways, I guess you say, I guess to mentally approach this, like going into this next, because like I've done smaller events, I've done FLL and FGC events, but this is my first time doing FRC events, so this is a bit different.
So I think the biggest thing, Logan, is hopefully you don't have a week 1 event. Like watch some of the events prior to yours, and you'll get every event has a little different flavor, has like different range of teams and their abilities. And if you can bounce around, the events are all on the FRC Watch website or like the Blue Alliance. You just watch some events and see both strategy, and you can get different styles of gameplay from the game announcers too. And somebody just put the link to week 0 in there. And definitely don't start at match 1 unless you have a lot of time to kill. Go to the playoffs of the week 0, and you can see some of the better robots after they've figured things out. And again, it was week 0 for those robots too. Anybody else? Look at Wayne's coming in from Australia. Nice to see you, Wayne.
Great to be here. It's 11 o'clock Wednesday morning over here.
Just about time for lunch. How's lunch tomorrow?
Yeah. Taking seafood to my mother in the nursing home. So, yeah, it's going to be good today.
When I worked the first Australian event, Wayne was a game announcer, and he was pretty shocked that we didn't stop everything at 10 a.m. for the tea break. Like
Yes.
everything stops for a tea break in Australia, and he's like, no, you don't understand. Like we all stop for tea. It's like, well, you're not going to stop the damn competition, Wayne. Like that was a favorite memory. All right, anything else? Hope everybody's excited. Okay, so our next call will be post week 1, and I really highly recommend you to just, it's MCs and game announcers, and if you don't get to watch any matches, you can hear about what's coming at you at your event. Like it's definitely like tips and tricks after a bunch of people have worked events, and they can tell you, here's didn't expect this, but look, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this was hard, and this was easy. So it's really pretty informative. And again, all these calls are being recorded, so if you can't make it at 11 o'clock Australia time, you can always just like go online and just play the recording whenever you want and speed through it. And I'll send out some summary notes too. All right. Anything else? You guys are good.
Blair, it's just, do you mind if I just comment on something real quick?
Go nuts.
This was kind of in regards to, I think Logan had asked that, about how to kind of mentally prepare for, competitions, especially if you're working a week 1. Something that I've done in previous years and something that I've kind of found a little helpful is the benefit of having week 0s is, check back on, like, watch some pre-recordings whenever if they get posted, and just as soon as the match starts, silence it, and then, practice commenting the match, at your kitchen table if you have the privacy to do so. But week 1's recordings I found a great tool to practice your game announcing.
And Eric, that's good. And that reminds me of, practice day. You can't do play-by-play over, the PA, but you can certainly sit there at the scoring table and practice some gameplay like in your head, and just at least see patterns. And it's not exactly strategy because they're not playing a game, but you can get used to what to look for, sort of when, especially as practice day gets toward the end, and many teams get some extra practices because some teams haven't gotten their robot ready yet. You see, like, okay, now what are the capabilities of some of these robots, and what happens in the first 30 seconds, the next 30 seconds, the next 30 seconds, the next 30 seconds. So practice day, silent in your head, is helpful too.
Hey Blair, it's Krista
Yep.
here.
Hi, Krista.
Hey, how you doing? All right. So I'm at a week 1 event out here in British Columbia. And so we're running, it's a small event, so we have 22 teams. We're expecting to be running with less than the 8 alliances then, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So would we be running 7, just for clarity?
It depends on the FTA. So,
Okay.
Because the deal is all those 22 teams also have to say that they're able to play. Okay. So we, at the end of qualifications, we just were going over this yesterday with Frank, and the way it should work is every team needs to be inspected after their final qual match anyways. So the inspectors are going to ask them, are you able and willing to play in the tournament? And if they get no's, they're going to have to communicate that to the FTA to figure out how many alliances we can make, because we always want to have like X amount of alliances plus at least like a backup. So the number is a little bit of, it can flex, if that helps.
Got you there. And so the minimum you'd run would be 4, correct?
The minimum would be 4.
Got
it. And that would definitely running some of those at the single day events, which yours is not.
Okay, that makes sense, because FTC runs 4, and I'm running that the weekend before, so that's fine.
And the other thing you should know is that at some of those small events, we won't give out all the awards either. So it's not a full award ceremony. It's Dean's List, Woody Flowers finalist, Chairman's Award, Engineering Inspiration, and 6 other judged awards selected by the judges.
Yeah, I think I recall that from yesterday's MC call. I was in the middle of an FTC meeting, but I do recall.
And volunteer of the year too. But
Okay, cool.
yeah, no, it's that's like trial by fire. Week 1, small event. Be
We
ready.
got it.
Yeah,
I think Dean's on this call too, Dean Brown. I don't know if Ian's also on this call, but yeah, well, we got it.
You got it. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, Krista, this is Ian. We definitely got this.
Yeah, see? The other two are here. We're good.
Yeah, you got this. And you're in a beautiful place, so that helps too.
Exactly.
If any of you are in New Hampshire or near New Hampshire, Granite State Week 1 is looking for a GA.
Yeah, they put it out there. Yeah, help
Putting
on it.
that out there.
Which is
I know,
good
Steve.
because I'm expected to be at least one of the MCs at Granite State. So you're likely going to see me there.
Awesome. There you go. Filled that role. Wayne can make it over.
I'm working a week 1, but I can +1 for Granite State. I've worked there before. They're a great crew to work with.
All right. Yeah. So let's see. I think that's good chat. Oh, Dave Voracek, Mr. Aerospace himself. Where am I this year? I start in LA, Port Hueneme, then do the new one in Electric City in South Carolina, then go to somewhere else, Tallahassee, and then Wisconsin, then the Smoky Mountains, and then the new one out in Tulsa, and then Houston. So kind of bouncing back and forth, but all no international. Didn't really want to get stuck outside the country for 2 weeks if I tested positive. Like that would just kind of ruin my day.
Did you say LA or?
Port Hueneme, yeah. So it's the North LA event.
Right. Okay. Cool.
You gonna be there, Dave?
I may pop in to visit. I haven't volunteered yet. I'm going to do Ventura and AVR.
Yeah, and Ventura is like the following week in the same venue.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so they're like doing one of these smart setups the Canadians figured out years ago of like set it up once and then run multiple events. And Istanbul does it now.
Yep.
So, cool.
I just quickly wanted to introduce myself. My name's Sam. I've been this is my 4th year game announcing for FTC, and this is going to be my first FRC event at the Iowa Regional, and I'm just super excited. I was super excited to log on and see all of these game announcers and MCs because we don't really have like that kind of community calls and stuff like that for FTC. So it's cool to see if there's so many of us here.
Well, welcome, Sam. It's a pretty decent club we got going here.
Hey Blair, it's Tom from FMA. I'm just going to shout out Sam's credentials. 2019, when I had the dreaded vocal loss at Worlds, Sam was one of the volunteers that we had step up in FTC and was an amazing game announcer. So he's going to be a huge asset. And look out, he's coming for your job.
Awesome. You can have it, Sam. And I think you sing well too, don't you?
One of my twins does. I've heard.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Anybody? Cool. Let's end it there. A little early. Get some time back in your life. Thanks everybody for like tuning in tonight. Hope to see you back here. You'll get some information about the GA training like next Tuesday night. It'll be at 7 o'clock, and James will send that out later this week. And then in 2 weeks, post week 1, back here, and we get everybody's brain dump on how Rapid React, presented by the Boeing Company, went during week 1. So really appreciate everybody's time. Thanks for volunteering, and if you need anything, just reach out, Blair at firstinspires.org, not usfirst.org. Firstinspires.org. I'm dating myself. And we'll try to get you set up. Like all the resources are out there in the library, so just check those out too. So, all right, thanks everybody. Have a great night. Great to see everybody. Shiny, happy faces.
We're supposed to say presented by Boeing every time? We say Rapid React?
No, just the first time each day.
Good to hear your voice again.
Yeah, it is. So, Blair, because of our first event, AVR,